Many of you might have heard this by now, but because of my busy schedule in the last 2 days, I was unable to post it immediately. I decided to post it now anyway, because it's newsworthy and very impressive that the Nigerian police can within a short time apprehend the daredevil robbers who stormed the airport on 13th of March 2013. See the report below. 7 suspected members of a robbery gang that attacked the Murtala Muhammed International Airport, MMIA, Lagos, last month, killing 2 policemen and injuring several others, have been arrested by operatives of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, Ikeja, Lagos. Surprisingly, one of the suspects was discovered to be the General Overseer of the Way of Joy Church located in Egbe area of Lagos. Parading the suspects before newsmen yesterday, at the command's headquarters, Ikeja, the command's boss, Mr. Umar Manko, disclosed that they, suspects, were arrested following information obtained from the document of a member of the gang who was shot dead during the exchange of fire with the deceased policeman. Please continue. Operatives from SARS, led by the commander, Egbe, he said, swung into action during which Pastor Ibe John was arrested in Egbe area. His confessional statement, Manko said, led to the arrest of 6 other members of the gang in Ikeja, Osun, Ondo, Oyo and Ogun states, with the recovery of 5 AK-47 rifles, 4 dynamites, 2 locally made pistols, 64 AK-47 rifles magazines, all loaded with 1920 live ammunition, a Toyota Sienna bus with an inbuilt space where the gang concealed its arms and ammunition. Also recovered were 2 masks and several charms buried in an iron box in the gang's hideout inside a forest at Agara village in Odojberlu local government area of Ogun State. The suspects confessed to the armed robbery at the MMIA and several other deadly robberies in Lagos, Ondo and Kwara states. Part of the robberies they confessed to were the First Bank, Union Bank robbery in Kwara State in January 2013, First Bank, Wema Bank armed robbery in Osun State in December 2012 and the bullion van armed robbery attack at Odojberlu Junction along Lagos, Ijebu-Ode Expressway in January 2013. They also confessed to the robbery attack at the MMIA in February 2012, where about N600 million was carted away. The armed robbers involved in the airport robbery of February 2012, where N600 million was robbed, and the March 13, 2013 MMIA robbery include Teslim Okunola, now late, Kazim Aderibigbe, the middleman that linked the armed robbers with the informant, Ibrahim Abdullahi, main informant, Emmanuel Ahinita, who earlier met his Waterloo in the hands of operatives of SARS, during a gun battle in October 2012, during which 12 AK-47 rifles, 1 pump-action magazine and several ammunition were recovered. Christian Joshua, from whom 1 Fiat Space bus with registration number AKD 791BD, modified to carry rifles, was recovered. Saeed Adekunle, Fasasi Jamiu, Ifeanyi Douglas still at large, Felix Sunday, still at large, Asiwao, still at large, and Shinan Eremua. China, still at large. During interaction with Crime Alert, the suspects said the policemen were shot dead out of frustration over their inability to get their target. The robbers, as gathered, missed their targets that fateful day as they were held up in traffic. They regretted that but for the traffic they would have realized about N1 billion from the foiled operation. I administered oath on them before they went for operation, passed to one of the suspects, Ibe John, discovered to be the General Overseer of the Way of Joy Church located on Liu Street, Egbe, Lagos, told Crime Alert that on the day of the operation, March 13, 2013, he administered an oath of secrecy on members of the gang before they left. The oath, according to him, was administered in the gang's hideout inside a bush located around Dodgebulu area of Ogun State. Hear him? Yes. I am the one that administered an oath on them the day they went to work. I waited for them in the bush until they came back. In the bush located in Ijebu Ode, there is a hut where one can even sleep if one wishes. But no one person can come there, except he is a member of the gang. Asked to describe how the oath was administered, he replied, "You won't understand because it is a spiritual thing, as incantation was said into a horn." Also asked if he owned a church of his own, he replied, "Yes. I am the General Overseer. It started as a spiritual healing church where God used me to heal people with diverse strange illnesses." Also asked why he ventured into heinous crime, if indeed he was a genuine man of God. He shook his head in regret and in an emotional-laden voice, said, "I was introduced into it by a Sawao. I did not know he was a robber then. But when I did, I tried to withdraw from him. But it was too late. He introduced me to other members of his gang. But we were made to understand you have partaken in some of the operations with the gang," Crime Alert said. "No," he replied. "I have never gone on operation with them. What happened was that a Sawao once told me to go and bring their operational vehicle from where it was parked after an operation and I drove it straight to his fish farm. At the end, I was given N50,000. At another time, one of them, Alfred, asked me to drive his car to Ijebu Ode because he did not want to rob with the car on that day. That was when they raided a bank in Kwara State. I got N45 million. Atubu Adeniyi, another suspect who identified himself as Atubu Adeniyi, 32, gave a vivid explanation on how the gang carried out the March 13, 2013 attack at the international airport. Although he claimed not to have fired a shot during the attack, he revealed, however, that his role was to monitor the road right from Ijebu Ode to the international airport and briefed his gang on where policemen were stationed. He further disclosed how the gang also struck last year at the same airport, where they carted away the sum of N600 million. Hear him? I joined the gang last year. Before then, I was in Bailsa. I was tricked by one of them to come and join them in a crude oil business and I came, only to realize late that it was robbery. My role in last year's operation was to drive, but I did not shoot. We were successful and at the end, I got N45 million as my share. I used the money to buy a tanker, 3 vehicles, out of which I used as taxi. But I was duped of N10 million in the process. After that operation, I decided to stay away from them. But they would not let me be. I even changed my telephone numbers several times. At a point, I decided to turn a new leaf and went to a church for deliverance in Oloroshogo area of Ibadan. I was living my normal life when they called me again. I told them I won't come, but they threatened to kill me if I did not. They told me to meet them in a bush in Ijebu Ode, and when I got there, I was made to swear an oath of secrecy. We were instructed not to tell Paul, a member of the gang, about the operation because they wanted to sideline him. After taking the oath, I was told to monitor the terrain and inform them of where policemen were. I was almost killed during the shootout by a member of the gang because it was dark and I did not know the terrain. However, at the end, I got N500,000. I knew the end was near for me since the last operation. The first signal was the death of my child immediately she was delivered. I regret my action and I am begging my wife and parents in particular, to forgive me, he said. I gave them information. Airport staff 31-year-old Ibrahim Abdul, from Plateau told Crime Alert that he furnished the gang with information on the first attack. Ibrahim, who blamed his indulgence on poverty, said he was tempted by the huge amount of money usually taken out of the country. Hear him, I have been working at the airport since 2009 and I usually see people carrying huge amount of money abroad. I then informed one of my friends, Kazim, whom I met at Computer Village. That was in December 2011. By January 2012, he called me and said he would arrange a meeting between I and his schoolmate whom he identified as Asiwao. We met in a hotel around Ikeja, where he, Asiwao, assured us he was going to organize his gang to do the job. Few weeks later, Kazim called to say Asiwao had been able to get a 5-man robbery gang to do the job and that all they wanted was to meet with me, to confirm if the money was there. The people moving the money out of the country do that every Wednesday. So, I invited members of the gang to come see for themselves. On the day they came, they pretended to be working with me. The following Wednesday in February, I and Kazim didn't go close to the airport. We were in a bar drinking and waiting for the gang to call us. By 11 p.m. I got news of the robbery at the airport and I called Kazim and informed him. We called Asiwao and his gang members to get an update but all their lines were switched off. I became worried and thought Kazim might have conspired with his friends to make away with the money. But on Saturday of that week, I received a call from Asiwao who said we, Kazim and I, should come to Ijebu to get our money. We went and were handed 2 nylon bags containing N1. 5 meters each. But I rejected mine because I knew the money robbed was much and felt my share ought to be more because I brought the job. I was even about fighting with him when Kazim held me back and whispered to me that Asiwao was a dangerous man. Asiwao later explained to me that the man who brought the guns they used for the job hijacked all the money and gave them peanut to share. He also said that the money he gave us was out of his own share. Out of the amount, I bought a car and opened a phone accessories shop at Computer Village. I didn't speak with them again until March this year when I heard of another robbery at the airport. I called Asiwao and he said they did the job but that it wasn't successful. He told me that before they got to the airport that the money had been moved from the parking lot into the departure hall in the airport and that they couldn't get into the place. He promised to see me when he comes to Lagos. How I was arrested but last week, I was in my house resting, when the police came and apprehended me. When I was brought to SARS and was interrogated alongside other members, I realized I and Kazim were shortchanged. Atuba, one of Asiwao's gang members told me that Asiwao was given N90 million but he gave us only N3 million. I'm not angry that I was arrested but I feel terribly bad that someone could cheat me in that manner. We killed a policeman because we missed our target for Christine Joshua. He has this to say, I and Saeed Adekunle were the first to be at the airport. Our boss Teslim Okunola, also known as Isho, who was killed during the operation, instructed us to stay at the airport and monitor the movement of the cash before their arrival. We did but unfortunate, Isho, Asiwao, and K-Money who were supposed to storm the airport with the arms were held up in traffic and before they got to the airport, the money had been moved from the parking lot to the airport. By then, it was about 8 p.m. I and SP were given a rifle and we went after the people carrying the money. But before we knew it, some policemen around opened fire and we retaliated and killed 2 of them. But by then, the money had gone beyond our reach. Frustrated, Asuwa, who is the leader of the gang, directed us to rob the bureau de change so as not to go empty-handed. We succeeded and collected over 10 million. Asuwa, who owns the rifles, got 3 million while 6 of us got 550,000 each. I used part of my share to clear off some of my debt before I was arrested.